The Intro to Business class is about 1,200 students a semester. I found that almost 40% of my class was content that I had already curated. Why not have the students get content that is directly from me as opposed to an alternative source? And I was able to do that through Top Hat by curating my own textbook. Ohio State's Intro to Business, we focus on business communication skills, principles of business, and also ethics and corporate social responsibility. And with all of that content, we bring it into that one central Top Hat tool. They can kind of see the full picture, but also it's broken down in a way that students can take one step at a time. There's so many different types of questions that make it really interactive for the students, and it tests their comprehension. And the benefit of that is I can then go into class knowing what students understand really well and where there might be gaps. There's not too many publishers that have that dynamic question and answer process embedded in the textbook, and Top Hat does that better than anybody else I've ever seen. Students can reflect on the content they've learned. If they've already written about it and reflected on it, they're much more inclined to share those perspectives in class than if they had never thought about it before. That allows me to make adjustments during the semester that I was never able to make in the past.
Welcome back, everyone. And for those of you who are just joining us, we are glad to have you with us. The theme for this week's summer camp program is engaging students. And we just heard about from two faculty members how to do this by creating an interactive, dynamic lecture experience. So if you missed the session, we'll be making the recording available to all of you, along with some really helpful resources to help you launch the semester. Now, I'd encourage you all to use the chat if you're just joining us to introduce yourself and to share ideas, experiences, and resources. And if you have questions for our presenters and our guest speaker today, you can use the Q&A and we will do our best to answer as many of those as we can. So now we're going to turn our attention to how we engage students outside of the classroom. And that's all about using Top Hat to craft and create your own custom learning materials. So from keeping learning materials current to engaging students and ensuring alignment with how you like to teach your course, we've seen a growing interest among faculty in developing their own custom learning materials. And I can't think of anyone better to host our next session than Karen Saba, a project manager in our Learning Solutions custom publishing team, who you might be interested to know is also something of a legend when it comes to roasting marshmallows to perfection. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Eric. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. Welcome to everyone that's here for the webinar. I am really excited about our conversation today with Dr. Linda Rodriguez. She is a professor in the English department at the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez, and she's here today to share her motivations and her experience with writing and designing a Top Hat interactive text and the impact that that has had on student learning and engagement in her course. But before we jump into our discussion, I wanted to provide some context, along with an overview of how we support professors like Dr. Rodriguez in designing course materials on Top Hat that are not only more affordable, but that are also more relevant, current, and inclusive. As a project manager on Top Hat's custom publishing team, we see a number of common challenges that educators are facing today. We see the need for low and reduced cost materials without sacrificing quality. We see the need to keep materials up to date and current and to reflect the diversity of today's students. We also see the need to tailor materials to one's own course and to really have materials that are accessible for students in one spot. To address these challenges, we offer a variety of content services and solutions, as you can see here. This includes the ability to adopt and customize Top Hat nationally published print or digital interactive textbooks and lab manuals, the ability to adopt and customize OER, Open Educational Resource content, including OpenStax, and the ability to create fully customized interactive textbooks. The latter will be the focus of our conversation today with Dr. Rodriguez. So how exactly does custom publishing at Top Hat work? When an educator decides to custom publish with Top Hat, they are paired with a project manager, such as myself, to help them design course materials. We help educators to develop their content and really get the most out of using the Top Hat platform with their students. We, above all, on the custom publishing team, support our professors. We are truly invested in meeting our professors' unique course needs. This is an overview of the process that we use with the custom publishing at Top Hat. So you can see here, first you would meet your project manager. You would discuss your goals, confirm your scope and timelines for your project. Secondly, you would develop your content in partnership with your project manager. So you would go through the process of not only creating, but also optimizing your content so that it brings engagement and is super accessible for your students. And lastly, Top Hat publishes your content. You as the educator teach with it, revise, and repeat. So you publish your text, prep for class, and you really edit as you go. You can edit either in the midst of the semester, between semesters. That's really the beauty of Top Hat. Oftentimes, the custom publishing journey for an educator starts with experimentation with a Top Hat page. So an educator might experiment with a reading or an assignment on a Top Hat page in their Top Hat course. Top Hat Pages is the backbone of Top Hat interactive texts. It provides a set of tools that allows you to create and customize content with the ability to add or edit text, incorporate multimedia, video, interactive questions, and really make learning more active outside of the classroom. Later in today's webinar, I plan to show you how truly easy it is to create and customize a Top Hat page. I had the absolute privilege and pleasure of working with Dr. Linda Rodriguez as the project manager to help her prepare for her fall 2023 course as she was writing her textbook, Reading and Writing the Screenplay. This is a Top Hat digital textbook with completely original material that Dr. Rodriguez wrote and designed for her Reading and Writing the Screenplay course, English 3280. She's here today to talk to us about our custom publishing journey and to also walk us through a few excerpts from her textbook. Linda has worked with Top Hat since 2017 and published several books on the platform. In addition to being an educator, Linda is a poet, short story writer, and an aspiring screenwriter. She's already had a very busy, packed summer as she's been to Europe. She's journeyed to New York City, where she travels every summer to study film at NYU. And she'll be leaving for Michigan soon, as she's recently been granted a library residency research position at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, to continue her study of 19th century children's literature in the Caribbean and Latin America. So without further ado, please welcome Linda.
Thank you so much, Karen, for that introduction. I am honored to be here and also happy to be here because I've been using Top Hat for quite a few years now, since 2017. And it's been an adventure and really good for my classes and my sort of development as a professor.
Before we explore your text today, Linda, Can you tell us about what really drives your teaching philosophy?
As you mentioned, I'm a very creative person, and I believe in learning together and creating together. So I really try to do that, learn together with my students, so they feel comfortable in class, just talking and saying what they think about what we're doing in my class. So learning together.
Can you tell us a little bit about your reading and writing the screenplay course?
As you mentioned, this is a very unique and original book. We do have a minor in the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez, in film studies, but we're developing that into a full bachelor's degree. So in this case, we want to have more courses that help the students write and produce their own films. I'm very interested in writing as well. So I've been taking courses in screenwriting for a while. And I was already thinking about this course for a long time. And then finally the course was approved at the university. And that's when I contacted the person that works with me with Top Hat. I said, I need somebody to help me to create a book. And I was assigned Karen to work with me. And as she mentioned, I talked with her. I said, look, I want to do this. This is my timeline. The class starts in fall. And that's how the book starts. And here's the front page of the book, reading and writing the screenplay. Yes. I wanted to say the book is for students who have perhaps taken some film classes, but also for students who have never taken a screenwriting course, because most of our students are engineering and science students.
That's exactly what I was going to ask, Linda. What is the audience primarily for this course and the book that you created? Well, let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at your book. And I would love if you could describe for us really how the book is organized.
As you can see, I have a section called Prologue. And it has that cover page we just saw with a nice image. And then it has, there it is. So the nice image. And this image, I remember Karen helped me find this image. And this is important, that the book is attractive from day one, no, from the first moment you open the book for the students. In the prologue section, later on, you can add a syllabus and more information about them. I will do that during the semester, add a little bit more information if necessary about the course. But immediately also, I have a table of content because I want my students to know what's coming up. How is this organized, as Karen is saying? I'm using a folder here. Top Hat allows you to do folders, and inside the folders you can put units, or I like to call them chapters. And I start from the very basic. As I said, this course is for anybody interested in screenwriting who doesn't know anything about screenwriting. So I thought about it, what do the students need to know? Where is this format coming from? This is not like a novel or a short story or a poem. So I myself looked up information about the history of the screenplay, and even I found it very interesting because, as all of you know, movies now are quite different from what they were 100 years ago when there was no sound, for example, no sound. So the history is quite interesting. You can, yes, here we are. And also start noticing, everybody, the use of red. I like to highlight things, use bold, so it's very easy for the students to see what might be immediately important. These banners also, Karen helped me with the banners. their learning goals and their other banners. So learning goals, I thought about this too, like what do we have to learn? What basic things do we have to learn in the first few chapters? But all the chapters have learning goals. And then a short introduction, that's right. Less is more. So you want to try to make it very clear, but at the same time, not have so much, I think, text in many of your books. And I do use a lot of hyperlinks though, because if a student is interested in the subject, they might want to know a little bit more what I'm talking, what I'm mentioning, like in this case, Shakespeare's sonnet. So some of them, again, they're engineers. They might not know what a Shakespeare sonnet exactly is. So I said, wait, let me find more information, and there they can go into that.
Yeah, and as I'm scrolling through, Linda, obviously it was your idea to include those learning objectives, which is a best practice that we recommend here at Top Hat, because it really gives students a roadmap for what to expect and what they should be getting of. But as I'm also scrolling through here, you really utilize what we call the 2-scroll rule at Top Hat, which is for every 2 scrolls that the students make down through the chapter, there is something for them to interact with, whether that be a link, as you just described, a hyperlink, an image, a video, a question. This is a pattern that you follow throughout the entirety of the book. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I love the discussion questions. I leave them open for all the students to see the answers of other students. And that's part of my philosophy of learning together.
It's wonderful. I'd like to take a look at your front matter section that you creatively call prologue. And I'd like to take a look at this page that you titled About the Author of This Textbook. Can you tell us why you thought it was important to include this, and a little bit about what purpose this serves?
This section developed slowly after I thought about it. I said, wait, the students need to know more about me. I mean, I don't want to just start talking about myself so much, although I do present this page on the first day because I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to know who I am. I used to notice when I used to teach before Top Hat that sometimes my students never learned my name. I mean, they have other things in their head. So I want them to know who I am. Obviously, what is my name, what I'm interested in, and why am I teaching this? So humanize myself. I'm interested in screenwriting. Where I was born, how this came about, the classes or special workshops I've taken in this field. So they know that they're taking a class with somebody, also that's making an effort to keep up to date with the information. Even a little bit about my work back in Michigan, where I'm going to travel next week. Also people I've worked with, as I said, residencies. And sometimes I right there in front of them, I click on these links, Atlantic Center for the Arts in Florida. I mean, what is that? So I tell them, this is a place where you can go as a writer or as an artist to work, and what happens there. So things that maybe are really maybe a little bit out of, maybe you might think it's a little bit out of the scope of the class, but it's to start building excitement for what we're about to study this coming semester. And it's very easy, again, with the hyperlinks. That's why you see a lot of hyperlinks in my textbook. And again, always to feel comfortable and to feel comfortable sharing with one another. That's why after this introduction about myself, and you can see there's a photo of myself coming up, I do dress up as a pirate because I do performances for children. So that's me with the blue hat right there at the bookstore. And so I'm opening myself up completely. You know, this is a professor that dresses up as a pirate. So after that, at the end, I do ask them about themselves. And again, I like to give them guidelines. So there's some questions here. Discussion number one is just to write about yourself. I don't force them to write a lot, whatever they feel comfortable writing. Again, because it's a discussion question, it's going to be open to everybody to read. And they can actually give thumbs up to themselves. That's one of the, I guess it's a little bit like Facebook, but if this generation is used to that. So if they want, they can give each other thumbs up. I can give them thumbs up too. I think is there another question here? Because I often ask them, yes, if they have any concerns, anxieties, or fears. Sometimes the students do write that they're a little bit afraid, they don't know what a screenplay looks like, they've never tried this out. And it's very important to go through what their answers are here and say, don't worry, it's all gonna be okay. We're gonna go step by step.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned your teaching philosophy is all about you learn from each other. It's that reciprocal learning. So not only are, you introducing yourself to them, vice versa. And so you're having your students share, those that are comfortable, of course, in class, sharing what they've written in the discussion and having that really inclusive classroom that builds community with your students. Just
Yeah, I
wonderful.
wanted to say that you can decide as a professor whether a question is worth a point or not, or how many points it's worth. So if you don't want to put any pressure on the students, you can just say, okay, the question is here, but you're not going to lose any points. If you give it 0 value, it's open and you don't have to answer. So they won't lose any points if they don't want to talk about themselves.
Let's take a look, Linda, at your assignment. This is in your chapter 7 for characters and setting that you did. And you have, once again, we can see that this chapter, just like the history of the screenplay chapter, is set up the exact same way. So your conventions are in line with your learning goals, your very short and sweet introduction that you include. And then, your chapter content starts again, and we can see as we scroll down here, all of the amazing resources that you've included for your students. So once again, implementing that 2-scroll rule, packing lots of amazing discussion questions into all of this. There is an assignment that utilizes not only some multimedia, as we're coming down here, but also includes a question afterwards. So I'm hoping that you can maybe tell us a little bit about the assignment and how it engages your students in class.
Yeah, as you find that the discussion questions are really important for my students. As been mentioned, I teach at the University of Puerto Rico. So for many of my students, English is a second language. And I'm in the English department, so I'm trying to do 2 things at the same time. Not only teach them about film, but I do want them to practice their English and writing short answers in English with correct grammar. I have found that their English, it's getting better and better. I think, for example, Top Hat has a inbuilt spelling checker, and that helps them. That helps them to create sentences that are grammatically correct as well. So some of that, there is help in here. There is a learning process at different levels. So the video you're showing will give them information about how to create a character for a film. So there's 2 things going on here. Learning about film and learning to write short answers in English in a correct format as well. the videos are very important. I do spend my time on YouTube looking for good videos, high quality videos. There are many. So I love to look at them and think about them and how they can be used. This new generation learns that way I mean, they create their own videos as well. So they really like the looking at videos and then working on their discussion questions here. And as you can see, if you read the discussion questions, it says, after watching the video above, what can you say about the relationship between a character and the film's theme? So they have to think and they have to watch the video carefully. And then it says also summarizing your own words. So there's the process of practicing thinking about it and writing in English and also learning a little bit about history of film, because most of them were not born in 1977. It's important, you know, also that they can see that there's going to be a process. We talk actually a lot about Star Wars because I want them to also to realize that Star Wars was a film that took a long time, the original one, that the character was not thought up like we see it now. It was an older man, a lot of things that people might not realize. So it's, again, we're going deeper into how you write a screenplay. And also I tell them, don't think you have to be perfect from day one. So again, that's why it's so important for me to create this feeling of sharing information, feeling comfortable, feeling safe, because you must be willing to make what we call mistakes, but there are no mistakes in my classes. It's all about the learning process. And that's why I get these examples and I talk to them about how it was also a process for professional writers to develop this character.
As you said, Linda, they may not even realize that they're learning after watching this video and responding to the question. It's a nice little mini formative assessment for you to gauge where they are with their understanding of some of these concepts, but it's also fun. They're watching a video and responding, you know, accordingly. So creativity. And do you have students that share their answers aloud when you do talk through these in class with something like this?
So what I do with these answers is that, you know, let's say we are going to meet on Wednesday. The night before, I do email them and say, look, tomorrow we're going to focus on this video and this discussion questions. So go ahead. If you haven't posted yet, go ahead and post. We are going to, in class, we will open the discussion question. And those of you who feel comfortable, we will read your answers in class and talk about them. So, and they get ready, and I see them posting, you know, late that night or early that morning, because some of them have told me, for example, I know in my poetry class, when I read one of the poems they've posted, they, at the end, when they write, you know, summarize their experience in the class, they say, oh my God, I was so proud that my poem was read in class in front of everybody. So they do, there's a little bit of competition here. So let me write a good answer so I'll get chosen to be shared in class.
It's wonderful, it's exciting. You also, we've talked about your discussion questions and how you utilize those in your course. And then I wanted to show everyone and talk a little bit about, you have students create a character that they will then use to, you know, start to develop their storyline. And so at the very end of this particular chapter, you walk your students through the process of creating that character with the discussion questions once again. So here we go under this exercise your knowledge banner, create a character and you will create a story. So they walk through all kinds of different considerations as they create their character. And then you have a really interesting assignment after you lead them through this creation process for their character, where you utilize a file submission question on Top Hat. So you have under this stop and think section, visualize your screenplay as a fairy tale. Can you tell us a little bit about this assignment here?
So now, in a way, it's like using everything we've learned in this chapter. So by now, the students should have a description of their character. So I always tell them, create a character and you create a story. And I want them to be comfortable. Once again, I don't want them to go home and write a very detailed outline and, oh my God, what does the professor want? I want them to be spontaneous. So this idea of using the once upon a time. So we do it right there in class. You know, I take paper with me to class, you know, like this. It could be white. Sometimes I take colored paper, yellow, green, a stack. And I said, you take whatever color you want. So we're playing. I like to play in class with my students. I said, so it's right at the top, once upon a time. So now you have your character. Once upon a time, your character, they were doing this, and then this happened to them. Just like a short fairy tale, you know, Red Riding Hood or Cinderella kind of thing. Write quickly, don't think too much. You can do it in pencil and pen, whatever you wish. And then you're gonna upload it here, right? This is a type of question that you can upload. And I used to say just PDF, but then I started noticing my students taking out their cell phones and taking a photo, what they did in class, and wanting to upload that. So now I've added other formats, JPEG, whatever they want. And I thought, you know, this way, I think they feel comfortable, they did it, they got it done, the assignment, and they can upload right there with their phone, and they can go on, you know, when the class ends. If we have time, as they're uploading, I said, would anybody like to share? Because this type of question, I can open the files as well. You know, I can go into grade responses and open the files, and we can also see what the students. So, you know, it's a brainstorming exercise. So combining old-fashioned brainstorming techniques with this modern technology.
Can you tell me a little bit about, you know, you're obviously utilizing multiple modalities with this, and you're thinking it's interesting that you thought originally a PDF, and then over time you realized, oh, they're just taking a photo and uploading it, you know, right then and there. I'm curious, in terms of brainstorming, does this assignment have any, I guess, real world application for those students that may be considering going into, you know, something along the lines of screenwriting or a creative profession in the future?
Yes, yes. A lot of screenwriting or writing for TV shows is done like that in a group. So as we're, you know, sitting in the classroom, and we share idea, you know, writers' room. They're called writers' rooms. So people do quick fire of ideas and plot lines. And so if they get used to that, and then people look at it, they say, they criticize, or they add more comments to it, and so I want them to start getting used to what the real professional environment would be like if they want to go into screenwriting for film or television.
And at the same time that they're actually having that, as you call it, you know, real world practice there, you're also fostering that sense of community because they learn from one another as they're sharing, you know, what they've done in their work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I always tell them there are no wrong answers in this class.
Wonderful.
As long as they're working towards their final project. And the whole thing is to have them work towards that final goal of this class, which is to create a character, which is to tell me, to create a presentation that they could do to a film producer about, this is my idea for a film. And then at the end, they upload, they can do that. They can upload a full presentation with slides. And that's the final exam. Plus, they can upload about 3 to 10 pages of a screenplay using the correct format. That's the ultimate goal of this class.
Now, kind of switching gears a little bit here,
Mhm.
Linda. If someone, let's say watching this webinar today, is considering following in your footsteps and writing a textbook on Top Hat, what advice would you give that person?
You have to go slowly if you don't know Top Hat. I started very slowly. I'm not a computer expert at all. I don't know how to program or anything like that. And I got really interested when I met a representative from Top Hat here at the University of Puerto Rico, because I was looking for something like this, something to help me in my classes. And I remember having meetings with a representative from Top Hat, and they would teach me just the basic things. What is a page? What is the font, the large font at the top, and how do you upload the video? So I started very simply. I didn't know all these functions, quotations or hyperlinks. Very slowly. Again, there are no wrong answers on Top Hat either. You do it slowly. There also, what I like about Top Hat is that if there's anything you immediately need help, customer service is really good. I have found customer service on Top Hat excellent. It's very quick, and they're very helpful. So just go slowly.
I'd like to invite people to ask any questions that they may have, a Q&A for Linda. And I can keep an eye here and see what's coming in, if that's okay, Linda. Okay. Let's see here. Do you have any plans to publish a book in the future on Top Hat? So I'm guessing a new text.
Well, I have published a few books on Top Hat already. I have a book on writing poetry and a book on writing stories, short stories. And I have another book that is so popular. It's a book on topics. The class is called Topics in Film, and it's called Angels, Vampires, and Monsters, or Deconstructing the Human Other. In fact, that has become one of the most popular courses in the whole university. I do a mega section of that class every semester. It's completely full. So at the moment, right now, I don't have any more plans to write because I'm using the books I've already created on Top Hat.
Could you speak a little bit to your editing process throughout writing your reading and writing the screenplay book?
Once you have an idea what the book is, so you can again do a quick outline. Oh, I want to do this chapter, these many chapters. What I found in this book, for example, I ended up creating 2 chapters that I didn't have time to really cover with my students. So what I did was very easily, you click on the chapters and you can move them. So one of the things you can do is if you have extra chapters, you can move them, for example, into an appendix as extra material. And then you can tell the students, there's more information about, let's say, how to write a superhero movie. I love Batman Begins. So I have one of those. And I'm just going to open it for you to read and look at and look at the videos, but you do not have to answer the discussion questions. My process also is, for example, if I'm looking at something with the students together and I think, oh, wait, they need a little bit more extra resources or maybe another video. After the class, I might just sit right here and take a few minutes, maybe half an hour, and I can edit very quickly. Or add something, or even take something, or sometimes you have little mistakes in your book. So it's very easy to correct as well.
And that's something that people may not be familiar with if they haven't used Top Hat before. We sometimes refer to it as in the moment teaching, where you can, in the midst of your semester, make those edits. If you see, for example, that your students aren't getting a particular concept, or they need that extra resource or more reinforcement, you can add that section in. Did you find yourself editing with reading and writing the screenplay the first time you taught with it? Did you make any changes with
I
that?
did. Yes, Karen, because as we mentioned, it was a completely original a book. The class had never been taught before. So the first semester, I could notice the students were a little nervous about what is this new class, and I had only 15 students. So it was like, but then as I talked with them, I did do a little editing. As I said, I ended up moving 2 chapters into the appendix. And I have added a few more videos as well. Basically that's it, just tiny things. So it was pretty good the way when we worked together. It was pretty much is the way it was. There were no major changes to the book as we talked about it and as we planned it, Karen.
Mhm. But that also kind of, I mean, takes the pressure, so to speak, if you are considering doing a textbook for the first time on Top Hat. You can always add to it. You can always edit as you go over time, as your needs change. You may even make changes based on your group of students, correct? In terms of, what your diverse population is like in your classroom and what their needs are. And that
There
can
were more students coming the second semester, so I guess the students heard that there was this class, it was fun. And I have other students that have told me, oh, professor, I like to take classes with you because you use Top Hat in all your classes. So more students came, it doubled the amount of students the second semester, 30 students. I'm like, when the first I said, oh, well, welcome future screenwriters of the Caribbean. And there were more students in this second semester that already had taken some film classes. So I knew that they knew a little bit more. And so I added a little bit more, sort of more difficult concepts in the second semester.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Linda, for your time today. We really appreciate it. I'm sure you've inspired someone out there to perhaps follow in your footsteps and create something like this for their students.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
I'd like now to take a few moments to show you how truly easy it is to create a page on Top Hat and customize it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So what we're looking at right now is basically a blank canvas on Top Hat. So a brand new course. And so just going to show you how you would choose page to add a pages to your course. So this is only for example purposes here. You'll have to title it. So we'll do week 1 assignment. So we'll always have to title in 2 spots there. And I'm just going to center this here too. Okay. So let's see. Much like very intuitive, much like a Word document, if you've used that before. So something simple, watch the following video, respond to the question after it before class, before we meet next. I'm literally just going to grab a video from YouTube and I'm just copying the URL there. And I'm going to go in here and literally just paste that URL from YouTube in. And we have a video here. So just like we saw with Linda, I'm going to include a discussion question for my video. So you always have to title your video or your discussion question. I'll just title this video discussion. And let's see here. Just for example purposes. So list 2 things you learned by watching the video. As Linda mentioned, you do have the flexibility here to put in your grading weights. So our system defaults to a 1/2 mark for correctness and a 1/2 mark for participation. In this particular case, I just want students to participate, so I'll give them, let's say, 2 points. And then, as Linda also mentioned with our discussion questions, we have a couple of different settings that you can use. So you can make it open so the responses to the discussion can be seen by everyone or to you only as the instructor or educator. So we'll leave that on everyone so people can learn from each other. And then you also have the choice of whether or not the participants are anonymous or if their names are attached to their responses. So as Linda mentioned, sometimes students are, a little bit more reserved, and if you make it anonymous, students might be more likely to participate that way. So we'll keep that anonymity there, and we'll go ahead and save that. So we have our video discussion question. And just another item here with our question builder on Top Hat, we talked about discussion questions and a file submission question. However, you have lots of different question types that you can choose from on Top Hat. So, things like multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, all kinds of different, click on target is a fun one, all kinds of different questions here that you can utilize in your course. The one other thing I wanted to show you that is a somewhat brand new feature and exciting for us is our ACE AI question builder. So I'm going to go ahead and take an excerpt of text here and put that in my course here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and go back here to my interactive toolbar and choose our AI power question. And this is generating a question for me based on my content. Oops, let's try that one more time here. I might have to refresh my page here. Okay, so it just generated, which of the following is not one of the specialized conducting tissues present in vascular plants? And we do have this feature here where you as the subject matter expert can give feedback. So always independently verify for accuracy, as content can be inaccurate or misleading. So you do have that ability. You can also go in here and edit the question that the AI builder creates for you. And there's also a hint and an explanation that is generated as well that you can utilize with these auto-graded questions. So I'm just going to go ahead here and save what I've done so far. And I'll just go ahead and close out here and then just kind of show you in just a couple minutes how easy it is and what we've put together here, and how intuitive this is to create a page and customize a page in Top Hat. Just go ahead and stop my share here. So I just wanted to give a big thank you to everybody who attended the webinar. We really hope today that we've given you a small glimpse into what the custom publishing process at Top Hat looks like. And we hope that you were inspired by Linda's commitment and dedication to teaching her students and inspiring creativity and community with them in an inclusive classroom environment. We also hope you were able to see how Top Hat offers the support, flexibility, and tools that you need to truly meet your course and student needs in this ever-changing domain of higher education. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it back to you, Eric.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you again to Dr. Rodriguez for sharing today. Hopefully, you all can see my screen. I believe I've shared my screen. So, quick bit of housekeeping. When the webinar closes, you're going to be directed to our faculty AI survey. So that's going to pop up in your browser. So we've launched this survey a few weeks ago, and we're seeking to understand the current state of evidence-based teaching practices and how AI may or may not be evolving the way you actually teach. The survey is actually pretty short. It takes less than 10 minutes to complete. And if you share your email address, you'll be entered to win a draw or into a draw to win a $250 gift card. And you'll also receive a copy of the survey report when it's finished. We'd love to capture your insights. And as for summer camp, we are back next week and with the final installment. So we're going to finish strong with Dr. Linda Nilsson, the author of Specification Grading and Creating Self-Regulated Learners, among a number of other highly influential books on teaching and learning. And as part of our focus on student success, Dr. Nilsson will share practical low-lift strategies you can use to strengthen student learning skills in the age of AI. So you won't want to miss that session. And then we've got two really amazing faculty presenters who will discuss their approach to assignments and assessments and how they're using Top Hat, including ACE, our new AI-powered teaching and learning assistant, which you just heard about, to make it faster and easier to integrate frequent low-stakes assessments into their course design to improve student success. So we do hope to see you again next week. And with that, thank you so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.